It's not stress that kills us, it's our reaction to it. Without stress, there would be no life. The infamous words by Hans Sally, a pioneering endocrinologist, often credited with introducing the concept of stress in the 1930s. His work laid the foundation for understanding how stress impacts the body. Now, stress is a response to stimulation that makes you feel threatened and not always provoked by real circumstances, but rather it's a perception that you're being attacked, or even a worry, thought, fear, or projection in the future of what might go wrong can all become real stresses. We know this. We live in the 21st century. So one of the main reasons we may get stressed is feeling crunched for time. The pressures of time, deadlines, due dates, all give us that feeling of being stressed. Welcome to episode 3 of Her Daily Rhythm, the podcast dedicated to empowering you, women, to live in harmony with your mind, body, and spirit. I'm Natalie Smythe, your host, thrilled to guide you on this journey with FemVed, a holistic wellness platform for women from menstruation to menopause, making health management easy and stress-free. So let's talk about stress. Now, in the following interviews that are released in season 1, there is a commonality between all of the experts that I've interviewed. Can you guess? The journey for them becoming an expert or a practitioner was their desperate quest for answers after persistent illness that resulted in misdiagnosis and then long-term chronic stress. They were told multiple times nothing was wrong and given a pill. Does this sound familiar? Do you know anybody that has experienced this? There is no one here to blame. It just highlights the system isn't functioning and we all need to proactively participate in prevention in our lives to truly thrive. So our intention for building this community and podcast is that we can make serious leaps forward and change and bridge this health gap that we face. So please like and subscribe because it truly makes a difference. So we can increase awareness to said issues. We can pioneer more research and funding into women's health. And we can update sex education because that seriously needs a complete overhaul. So in this episode is packed with information on your central stress response system and how it interacts with your nervous system. Because the more that we can understand what is happening in our system, we can self-soothe and reorientate a different experience. So we'll discuss various responses like the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, and how they play into your hormonal health. And finally, I'll guide you through practical ways to support your body and lead you through a somatic experiencing exercise. So stick around. Now let's dive into the stress cascade, which is a chain reaction that begins when we encounter a stress. It could be anyone, someone pulling out in the car, worrying about a test, your child has fallen over, any and absolutely anything. Then what happens? This triggers a whole biochemical cascade. The hypothalamus, which is a small but mighty part of your brain, he sends a distress signal to our pituitary gland, which in turn signals the brain to release cortisol, our primary stress hormone. While cortisol is essential for our survival, helping us to respond to immediate threats, chronic stress keeps cortisol levels high, and this is what interplays with wreaking havoc in hormonal balance. So imagine you're trying to juggle too many balls at once. Eventually, one has to drop. That's what happens in our body when cortisol levels stay elevated. Our estrogen and progesterone levels can drop, leading to symptoms like fatigue, anxiety, irregular periods. So it's a vicious circle where stress leads to hormonal balance, which in turn creates more stress in our bodies and our minds. So I'm going to go into this a little bit deeper so you can understand it for those that really love to grasp this concept, otherwise fast forward. So to truly understand how stress affects our bodies, we need to start with the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, also known as HPA Axis. This is our body's central stress response system, a powerful and complex network of interactions with 3 key endocrine glands. Your hypothalamus, which I just mentioned before, the control center. The hypothalamus is a small almond-sized region of your brain that acts as the control center of this HPA axis. And it monitors your internal environment, your hormonal levels, your temperature, and external stresses. When the hypothalamus perceives a threat, whether it's physical, emotional, environmental, or from the past in your mind, it releases corticotropin releasing hormone, CRH. You don't really need to remember that, but just remember it releases a hormone. This is the starting point of the stress response, setting the entire HPA axis into motion. So this is happening all of the time. Then your pituitary gland, the master gland, is often referred to as this master gland, sits just below the hypothalamus, and it's responsible for regulating a wide range of bodily functions from growth to reproduction. So in response to this corticotropin releasing hormone from the hypothalamus, this master gland, the pituitary gland, releases adrenocorticotropic hormone, ACTH, into the bloodstream. So it releases another hormone into the bloodstream. And this acts as a messenger traveling through your blood all the way down to your adrenal glands. So your adrenal glands, they're the stress responders. They are patched just on top of your kidneys, and they're your body's stress responders. They're tiny, 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 so we need to nurture them. When ACTH, this hormone, reaches these glands, they release cortisol, the primary stress hormone, which I'm sure you know a lot about. And cortisol plays a crucial role in preparing your body to face a threat. It increases your blood sugar for immediate energy, suppresses non-essential functions like digestion and reproduction, and heightens your alertness. So this entire process is what we commonly refer to as the fight or flight response. It's your body's way of preparing you to either confront or escape a threat. However, this response is meant to be short-lived. Once the danger passes your body, it's supposed to return to a state of balance. Noting supposed to. So now I want to highlight how this interacts with your body with this elevated cortisol. So it's essential, as we've discussed, as helping you manage acute stress. Problems arise when stress becomes chronic. So that's really what's plaguing our modern day. Continuous activation of this HPA axis leads to persistently high cortisol levels, which can have a far-reaching effect on your health, particularly as women. So hormonal imbalances arise. High cortisol levels can disrupt this balance of other crucial hormones, including estrogen and progesterone. So for women, this imbalance can lead to irregular periods, amenorrhea, which is absence of menstruation, infertility, and more severe symptoms of PMS, as well as menopause, and impacting the length and severity of your perimenopause symptoms. So for example, cortisol can suppress the release of gonadotropin releasing hormone, which is essential for regulating your menstrual cycle. So when that hormone is inhibited, it can lead to disruptions in your ovulation, so making it harder to conceive, or being able to target in your cycle when it happens. Next, weight gain and insulin resistance, which we've had a lot about. Chronic stress can also lead to weight gain, particularly around the abdomen. So cortisol increases appetite and cravings for high-calorie, sugary food, leading to what we call stress eating. And so over time, elevated cortisol levels can contribute to insulin resistance, where your body's cells become less responsive to insulin. So this increases the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Then we have immune suppression. So cortisol's role in the stress response includes suppressing the immune system, which is beneficial in the short term to conserve energy. However, when cortisol remains elevated due to chronic stress, it can weaken your immune system, so making you more susceptible to infections, illnesses, and then even autoimmune conditions, which women do experiencing more autoimmune conditions than men. So this could be to release this extra hormonal release and high cortisol. And then lastly, there is the feedback loop here, which your body is innate. It's so intelligent. So it always tries to regulate your system in hormone imbalance. The HPA axis operates through a feedback loop designed to prevent excessive cortisol production. Once your cortisol levels rise to a certain point, they send feedback to the master gland, to your hypothalamus, to reduce the production of CRH and ACTH, those hormones, respectively. Ideally, this mechanism should shut down the stress response once the threat has gone, allowing your body to return to a state of homeostasis balance. However, in cases of chronic stress, which we've spoken about, this feedback loop can become dysregulated. This means your HPA axis may remain overactive, leading to persistently high cortisol levels and that continue to disrupt your bodily symptoms. So understanding this is so important. So we can do a lot to support this. It's prioritizing your rest and sleep, your hygiene, making sure that you're getting regular physical activity, because exercise helps modulate the stress response and lower cortisol levels, resensitize your cells, making sure obviously you're not doing, if you're in chronic stress, not doing HIIT. So we want to regulate our nervous system. Nourishing your body with healthy fats, antioxidants, all the things that we talk about, and consider adaptogens. So herbs like ashwagandha, rhodiola, holy basil can help regulate the stress response and support adrenal health without activating it. So when we're discussing women's health, we can draw it. Now let's shift gears and talk about how our nervous system responds to stress. When faced with a stressor, our body can react in 4 ways: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Now, these responses are all part of our survival mechanism, as we've been really talking about, designed to protect us from harm. However, they can become problematic when they are triggered too often or remain unresolved. So the nervous system has a built-in survival mechanism designed to protect us in times of danger. So what happens in the fight or flight, our sympathetic nervous response, it's that immediate response to danger, releasing adrenaline and cortisol to prepare us, everything that we've spoken about. Now, an example of this is, imagine you're walking home alone at night and fear footsteps behind you. Your heart races, your muscles tense, and you become hyper alert. Your body is preparing you to either defend for yourself or run away. How this impacts women is that if you're experiencing this too frequently due to everyday situations or stresses that feel threatening, such as work pressures, relationship conflicts, or societal expectation, that whole system is happening in your body. So how often are you actually in a state of stress? In the freeze response, our parasympathetic nervous system, when that's more dominant, it's the brain perceives that the fight or flight isn't an option. The body might enter into the freeze response. This is a state of immobilization where the body shuts down to protect itself. It's akin to a deer freezing when caught in headlights. This can be seen as a more extreme reaction, often associated with trauma. But again, it can actually happen a lot in your lives. So say, for example, you're in a situation of overwhelming fear, or you're procrastinating, or there could be a traumatic event where a person feels paralyzed, unable to move or speak. The body becomes numb, and there may be a sense of detachment or disassociation from the surroundings. So this freeze response is common in situations where women feel powerless, such as an abusive relationship or during a traumatic event. Recognizing this response is important as it can lead to feelings of shame or self-blame, when in fact it's just a natural survival mechanism. And then we have the fawn response, which actually isn't spoken about, but it is very common. The fawn response involves trying to please or appease a threat to avoid conflict. This is often seen in relationships where one might feel that compliance or submission is the safest way to survive. In a less commonly discussed response, but it is highly relevant in understanding how women respond. So an example is an unhealthy relationship. A woman might go out of her way to please her partner. Could be any type of relationship, a work relationship, even at the expense of her own needs to avoid conflict or violence. This is very, very, very common and can happen very subtly. So this fawn response is actually rooted in early experiences where pleasing others was a way to stay safe. And then it can lead to these patterns of people pleasing, codependency, and a lack of self-care, which can contribute to chronic stress and burnout. So understanding these responses is key. And I think the best way to do it is just having a journal and noticing where your mind is in overdrive, or you're thinking about the future and how your body responds and reacts to those situations. So Peter Levine's work in the body and the work of The Body Keeps the Score really talks more in depth about this trap, fear, fawn response, because he emphasizes that unresolved stress and trauma can become stuck in the body, and that can lead to chronic stress symptoms that you were completely unaware of, but they happened from when you were maybe 7 years old, and they're still there. Because they're still there, this cascade is continuing to happen, which leads to chronic disease, leads to chronic stress, IBS symptoms. Then it can go deeper and deeper into the body. Then we have autoimmune cases that usually pop up in your late 30s, 40s, and you haven't really changed anything in your lifestyle. And he understands, Peter Levine, that these physical reactions need to be processed through the body, not just the mind. That's why this breath work, our yoga, our somatic experiencing exercises is so important. And women are often face chronic stress due to societal pressures and responsibilities. They might find that their bodies carry this unresolved stress in the form of muscle tension. I spoke about digestive issues or other chronic conditions. And it's so important to address these issues in the body's tissues and nervous system. That's why there's this resurgence of fascia therapy coming through, because your fascia wraps around and protects all of your muscles, and that's where it's stored. So yin yoga can be really beautiful for this, making sure that you have your breath work and you have a practitioner that can help you. So I'd like to take you through now a somatic experiencing exercise so we can really understand how our individual bodies respond to stress and begin to release stored tension and trauma. Somatic experiencing helps to gently guide the body out of these heightened states of stress and back into a state of balance. So let's practice together. So wherever you are, if you can take a few moments, let's ground. So start by sitting comfortably and then just take a few breaths in, out, through your mouth. A couple more. In, out. Feeling the ground beneath you, and allow yourself to be fully supported. Imagine your roots extending from your feet into the earth, anchoring you. This helps calm the nervous system and is bringing you right here in this now present moment. Now, taking your attention into a body scan of your body. So, can you slowly scan your body from head to toe? Internally inquiring any areas of tension. Is there maybe a place that feels numb or uncomfortable? Ask yourself, is there a part of me that feels ready to fight or flee? Do I feel stuck or frozen? And am I focusing on others rather than myself right now? Just observe. Observe the sensations. Release any judgment. You're in the present. Now, if you notice any areas that feel tense or frozen, try introducing just a small movement, swiggling your toes, stretching your fingers, rolling your shoulders. Maybe can you move your spine or move your body in whatever way feels intuitive, just releasing, stretching, just like cats and animals, they stretch. Now, if you come into a fawn response often, can you place your hand over your heart and just gently affirm to yourself, I am here, I am safe, my needs matter. This just reminds you that you're okay and that you prioritize yourself. It counteracts this fawn response of people pleasing. You are enough. I am okay in my body. And then finally take big, deep breath in and exhale, release any remaining tension. And then when you're ready, open your eyes and bring this sense of awareness to the moment. That's all you need to do. It's very simple, but when you're reacting, overreacting, or freezing, come and feel your sensations in your body and remind yourself it's just energy. Remember that your body is constantly working to keep you safe, but everything in life is trying to throw us off. And just by understanding how our body works and living our life in complete flow, not letting our bodies, not letting our minds take us on autopilot, you are the creator. We are in complete control. But it starts with you. It starts with listening, because your body is always communicating with you. It's so intelligent. I hope this helps you and you can find a little bit of beauty, a little bit of peace, and remind yourself that you are the creator of your life. So thank you again for tuning into Her Daily Rhythm. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode if it could help anybody. Until next time, take care of yourself. You deserve it. In next week's episode, I'm really excited to be interviewing an expert all about the microbiome and how it impacts your hormones. Take care. Bye for now.